Learn English while you sleep and wake up fluent. English podcast. Imagine this. The lights are low, your room is quiet, and the world outside has gone still. You've just finished a long day. Your mind feels full, your body tired. You lie down, close your eyes, and let the calm wash over you. But deep inside your mind, something incredible is happening. Your brain isn't just resting. It's still working, processing, organizing, and connecting information. And that's where the magic of language learning can begin. Welcome to the English Channel podcast. I'm Emily, your guide and companion on this journey into the fascinating world of sleep learning. Together, we're going to explore how your mind continues to learn even while your body sleeps. By the end of this episode, you'll not only understand how to use your sleeping hours for English improvement, you'll also walk away with practical tools to turn every night into an opportunity for growth. So take a deep breath, relax, and let's begin this peaceful but powerful journey. And hey, before we start, if you enjoy learning English in smart, natural ways, make sure you subscribe to English Channel. That one click could help transform the way you speak, listen, and think in English forever. Chapter 1. The idea that started it all. Have you ever gone to bed listening to something, maybe a song, a podcast, or an audiobook, and then found that it was still in your head when you woke up? Maybe the melody drifted through your dreams, the rhythm of the music pulsing softly in the background of your subconscious, or perhaps a certain phrase or voice kept echoing in your morning thoughts. It feels almost magical, doesn't it? But it's not magic. It's your brain doing what it does best, learning, remembering, and connecting. Our brains are always listening, always working, even when we think they're resting. During sleep, especially in the lighter stages and during REM, the mind continues to process sounds from the outside world. That's why a mother can sleep through thunder but wake instantly at the sound of her baby's cry. Your brain is selective. It listens for what matters. And if you train it to believe that certain sounds, like English words, phrases, or conversations, are meaningful, it begins to pay attention even while you sleep. Now, imagine replacing that song or background noise with something that feeds your growth. Imagine listening to English lessons, vocabulary drills, calming affirmations, or immersive stories while your body relaxes completely. Imagine waking up with phrases that feel more natural on your tongue, words that suddenly sound familiar, and grammar that somehow feels less intimidating. You wouldn't just be dreaming, you'd be gently programming your mind to recognize and internalize the language of English in its most natural state. The idea of learning while sleeping isn't new. In fact, it dates back to the 1950s, when scientists experimented with what they called hypnopedia, the study of sleep learning. Back then, the tools were primitive, record players looping foreign phrases beside sleeping volunteers. The results were mixed, and many researchers dismissed the concept as wishful thinking or pseudoscience. For years, sleep learning was mocked, used only in movies or science fiction stories where people became geniuses overnight. But now, decades later, neuroscience has returned to the question. With new technology, new understanding, and fascinating discoveries, we now know that the brain never fully shuts down. Even in deep sleep, it is actively sorting through the chaos of the day, storing memories, linking concepts, replaying experiences. This process, called memory consolidation, is like your brain's nightly filing system. The hippocampus, a structure deep inside your brain, works together with the neocortex to decide what to keep and what to forget. Emotional memories, useful skills, and frequently repeated information are strengthened, while trivial details quietly fade away. Here's where things get exciting. Studies show that if you replay certain sounds, like vocabulary words or key phrases, during specific sleep stages, your brain can reactivate those same neural pathways that were formed while you were awake. In other words, your sleeping mind rehearses what your waking mind learned. You're not absorbing brand new knowledge from nothing, but you are reinforcing and solidifying what you've already begun to learn. It's like letting your subconscious take over the night shift of your education. Think of it as teamwork between your waking and sleeping selves. During the day, you actively study English, reading, listening, speaking. At night, while you rest, your brain quietly goes over what you learned, polishing it, strengthening it, embedding it more deeply. The next morning, things feel smoother, easier, more familiar. This is not magic or fantasy. It's biology, and you can use it to your advantage. So, as you close your eyes tonight, remember this. Sleep isn't the end of your learning. It's the continuation of it. It's not just a pause, but a powerful phase of reinforcement. When you combine intentional listening with rest, your brain begins to recognize patterns, rhythms, and meanings more naturally. Sleep becomes a silent classroom, your dreams a soft echo of progress. Sleep, then, is not just rest. It's repetition, reflection, and reinforcement. The hours you spend in silence are not wasted. They are your mind's quiet rehearsal. Each night becomes an opportunity to grow, to improve, and to wake up just a little more fluent than before. Chapter 2. What happens inside your brain? While you sleep, let's go deeper, beyond the surface of rest, into the quiet rhythm of the sleeping mind. When you close your eyes at night, your body may slow down, but your brain begins one of the most intricate and beautiful cycles known to science. It moves through stages: light sleep, deep sleep, and the vivid world of REM, rapid eye movement sleep. Each stage has its own purpose, its own role in healing, remembering, and learning. During light sleep, your brain drifts between wakefulness and dreaming. Sounds from the world around you can still reach you: the hum of a fan, the rhythm of your breath, or even the gentle voice of an English lesson playing in the background. Your conscious mind fades, but your subconscious is awake, quietly listening, filtering what it hears, and deciding what deserves attention. Then comes deep sleep. This is the stage where your body repairs itself. Muscles grow, tissues heal, and energy is restored. But deep sleep also lays the groundwork for memory. It's when the brain begins to sort the day's experiences, organizing what you've learned into patterns that can be recalled later. It's like a librarian filing books into the right sections, labeling them, and discarding the unnecessary. And then, finally, there is REM sleep, the most mysterious and creative phase of all. During REM, your eyes flicker behind your eyelids, your heart rate increases slightly, and your mind becomes an extraordinary landscape of dreams. In this world, your brain lights up almost as brightly as it does when you're awake. You imagine, you feel, you replay moments, you reshape them. This is the theater of memory and emotion, the place where your mind rehearses real life through imagination. In these stages, something remarkable happens. Your brain decides which memories to keep and which to let go. It strengthens the neural pathways that matter most and weakens those that don't. You can imagine it like a gardener tending to a complex garden, pruning away the dead branches of irrelevant thoughts while watering the seeds of meaningful experiences. Every night, your brain is sculpting you into who you will be tomorrow. If you studied 10 English words in the evening, your brain doesn't just forget them when you fall asleep. It reviews them. It quietly asks, was this important? Was it emotional? Did it repeat? The more meaning or emotion attached to something, the stronger the connection becomes. That's why we remember emotional conversations or inspiring lessons more easily than random facts. Emotion tells the brain, keep this. It matters. This process is called consolidation, the silent yet powerful act of transforming short-term memories into long-term understanding. It's how fleeting thoughts become lasting knowledge. And it's one of the most extraordinary forces in all of learning. So, when you drift into sleep with familiar English words flowing softly through your headphones, phrases like, I am improving, I can understand, I am confident, your brain doesn't treat them as noise. It recognizes their rhythm. It feels their positivity. These are safe, empowering messages, signals of progress. And because your brain has heard them before, they become easier to store. It keeps them, strengthens them, and builds pathways that make those ideas feel more natural and true. By morning, something subtle but real has changed. You might not remember every phrase word for word, but your mind has become more open to the sound, structure, and emotion of English. The language feels a little less foreign, a little more yours. That's not luck or illusion. That's neuroscience at work, your sleeping brain continuing the story your waking mind began. In other words, sleep isn't the pause between learning sessions, it's the bridge that connects them. Chapter 3. Why Sleep Learning Works for English Learners. Why do people want to believe in sleep learning? Because learning English, like any new language, can feel like a long and winding road. There are grammar rules that twist in unexpected ways, pronunciation that feels impossible to master, and vocabulary lists that seem endless. You start your journey full of energy and hope, eager to speak fluently, to understand without effort. But as days turn into weeks, frustration begins to appear. Mistakes feel heavy, progress feels slow, and the dream of speaking naturally sometimes feels out of reach. That's where the idea of sleep learning shines like a light in the dark. The thought that you could keep improving even while you rest, that your sleeping hours could secretly work for you, is deeply comforting. It feels like a hidden door in a wall that once seemed solid. Effortless progress, growth without stress. Learning during the only time of day when you're not already overwhelmed by work, study, or life. But the appeal goes beyond convenience. It's about possibility. It's about blending two powerful states of mind, rest and learning. When you're awake, your thoughts are full of noise, plans, distractions, emotions. But when you're drifting to sleep, that noise fades, your mind softens. It becomes open, peaceful, and receptive. In that quiet, gentle space, the words you hear can sink deeper, like seeds falling into calm soil. That's why so many learners play English stories, affirmations, or calming conversations before sleep. It's not just practice, it's connection. Listening at night doesn't feel like study. It feels like immersion. You begin to feel the rhythm of the language, to sense its tone and flow, to hear not only what words mean but how they move. The brain loves rhythm. It finds comfort in repetition, and that comfort builds familiarity. And familiarity over time becomes confidence. Think about it this way. Daytime learning is logical. You open a book, you focus on grammar, you repeat pronunciation drills. You're using reason and discipline. Nighttime learning is emotional. You're not memorizing rules. You're absorbing patterns. You're not analyzing, you're feeling. You're allowing the sound of English to become part of your inner rhythm, to live quietly in the background of your mind. When you combine these two, logic and emotion, structure and intuition, you create balance. One side trains your analytical mind. The other trains your instinct. Day by day, night by night, your learning becomes whole. The language stops being something you study and starts becoming something you live. And when that balance meets consistency, something magical happens. You begin to think in English. You stop translating in your head. Words come naturally. Sentences flow without hesitation. You understand not just with your brain, but with your entire being. That's the point where learning transforms into fluency, when English stops feeling like a task and starts feeling like a part of who you are. So tonight, as you close your eyes, remember that every quiet moment has meaning. Every story you listen to, every word that repeats softly as you drift to sleep, is shaping you gently from within. The work you do by day builds your knowledge. The rest you take by night strengthens it. And if you want to keep growing this way, naturally, calmly, and continuously, subscribe to English Channel today. Join a community where learning doesn't stop when the lights go out, where your dreams and your goals can finally work together. Grow with your mind awake and your heart at rest. Because even in silence, your English journey continues. Chapter 4. The Secret Power of Preparation. Before you can truly learn in your sleep, you have to prepare your brain. Sleep learning doesn't start the moment you close your eyes. It begins before that, in the quiet, gentle minutes leading up to rest. Neuroscientists call this window the hypnagogic state, the period between wakefulness and sleep. It's a powerful moment when your conscious mind begins to fade and your subconscious takes the lead. In this state, your brain becomes unusually open, relaxed, and suggestible. It absorbs emotions, ideas, and sounds more deeply than at any other time of the day. That's why the last 20 minutes before you fall asleep matter so much. They set the tone for everything your mind will process throughout the night. What you feel, hear, and think during this time lingers, echoing softly in your dreams and shaping your emotional landscape until morning. If you fill that space with anxiety or noise, your mind carries it with you. But if you fill it with calmness, familiarity, and focused intention, you prepare your brain for deeper learning. So, here's your nightly routine, your ritual for gentle, effective sleep learning. Step 1. Calm your body. Start by creating a peaceful environment. Turn off notifications, silence your phone, and lower the lights. Let your surroundings match the softness of your breathing. Sit or lie down comfortably. Take a few slow, deep breaths. In through your nose, out through your mouth. Feel your body release the weight of the day. The tension in your shoulders, the tightness in your jaw, the restlessness in your thoughts. Your body's calm sends a powerful message to your brain. You are safe. You can relax. You can learn. Step 2. Choose the right content. This is where intention meets science. Don't pick something new or complicated. Your brain doesn't need novelty right now. It needs reinforcement. Choose something familiar, short English stories, simple affirmations, or lessons you've already heard before. Maybe it's a dialogue from your favorite movie, or a vocabulary list you studied earlier in the week. Familiarity allows your brain to recognize and replay patterns. It's like giving your memory a gentle reminder, not a surprise test. You can think of this step as setting the playlist for your subconscious. The content should make you feel good, safe, and capable. When your brain associates English with calmness instead of stress, it becomes easier to retain and recall. Step 3. Play the audio quietly. Volume matters more than people think. You don't want loud, demanding sound. You want something that feels like background music for your dreams. Soft enough that you can drift away without effort, but clear enough for your mind to detect rhythm and tone. You don't need to study or focus. In fact, you shouldn't. Just listen passively. Let the words wash over you like waves on a quiet shore. As you begin to drift into sleep, your brain will continue to listen. It may not analyze, but it will register. Tiny fragments of speech patterns, intonation, and structure will replay in your neural circuits. Your subconscious will treat them like familiar melodies, reinforcing them as part of your internal soundtrack. By morning, these patterns will feel a little more natural, a little more your own. And that's it. No pressure, no perfection. Just calm, repetition, and emotion. The 3 magic ingredients. Calm quiets your body and opens your mind. Repetition strengthens neural pathways through gentle familiarity. Emotion gives meaning and depth, signaling to your brain, this matters. Keep it. If you end your day with these 3 elements, your nights become part of your learning journey. Sleep becomes not just recovery, but transformation. Each night, your brain will weave what you've heard into memory, building understanding effortlessly, naturally, while you rest. Chapter 5. The Science and the Stories. Let's look at what science actually says, because this isn't just an inspiring idea. It's something researchers have tested in real, measurable ways. In one groundbreaking Swiss study, a group of participants was asked to learn a list of foreign vocabulary words. Simple, everyday terms in a language they didn't know. After studying, they went to bed. But here's the twist. Half of them were allowed to sleep in silence, while the other half listened to quiet recordings of the same words they had learned earlier. The next morning, the difference was striking. The group that had heard the words while sleeping remembered more of them, recalled them faster, and even pronounced them more accurately. The recordings had gently reactivated their memory traces during sleep, strengthening the neural connections without any conscious effort. What this shows is extraordinary. Your sleeping brain doesn't just rest, it reviews. It replays what matters most. When the same sounds you studied reappear during specific phases of sleep, especially deep and REM sleep, your brain's memory centers, like the hippocampus, wake up and work silently in the background. This process stabilizes and reinforces what you've learned, transforming fragile short-term memories into long-term knowledge. Another study explored this even further using English learning experiments. Participants practiced English sentences before bedtime, repeating them out loud until they were familiar. Then while they slept, researchers played those same sentences softly in the background. Using brain scans, they discovered something fascinating. The exact same neural patterns that had been activated during their waking study were re-triggered during sleep. Their brains were, quite literally, rehearsing English without awareness, without effort, without struggle. This sleep reactivation effect isn't limited to language. It's been observed in motor learning, music, and even emotional processing. But for language learners, it offers something special. Words and phrases are more than sounds. They carry rhythm, emotion, and meaning. When those elements are reintroduced during rest, your brain not only remembers the information, it begins to feel it, to internalize the sound patterns of the new language naturally. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Music makes this effect stronger. Multiple studies have shown that when slow, gentle music accompanies words or phrases during sleep, memory retention increases. The rhythm helps your auditory system sync with the patterns, guiding the brain into a relaxed yet attentive state. Music acts as a bridge between emotion and memory, making what you hear more vivid and more lasting. It's like your brain dances softly with the melody, using rhythm as a pathway to deeper understanding. So what does that mean for you? It means that if you want to learn faster and more effectively, you should combine language with emotion and sound. Don't just listen to flat vocabulary lists. Immerse yourself in gentle, emotionally rich content. A soothing English story, a calm voice guiding you through affirmations, or a softly narrated lesson with tranquil background music can activate parts of your brain that plain memorization never will. Imagine lying in bed as a peaceful English story plays quietly beside you. The rhythm of the sentences blends with slow, calming music. You feel relaxed, safe, and open. Your breathing slows. Your brain, meanwhile, is absorbing rhythm, intonation, and structure. You're not forcing learning. You're allowing it. You're giving your mind permission to connect, to remember, to grow naturally. In this way, sleep learning becomes more than a dream. It becomes a science-backed practice. A gentle, effortless partnership between your conscious study by day and your subconscious rehearsal by night. And when language, sound, and emotion unite in harmony, your brain listens more deeply than you ever imagined possible. Chapter 6. The Perfect Sleep Learning Routine. Let's turn all this science and theory into something simple, practical, and powerful, a daily rhythm you can actually live by. You don't need long hours, expensive courses, or endless lists. What you need is consistency, gentle, steady exposure that trains both your waking and sleeping mind. Here's your on 24-hour English growth plan, designed to align perfectly with how your brain learns best. Morning. Set your rhythm. 5 minutes. As soon as you wake up, before the noise of the world takes over, spend 5 quiet minutes with English. Listen to a short affirmation, a peaceful podcast clip, or read a few inspiring lines from your favorite English book. It doesn't have to be long, just something positive and easy to understand. Why? Because your brain is fresh in the morning. It's still in a light, suggestible state, just like before sleep. This is the perfect moment to plant confidence and rhythm into your thoughts. Try phrases like, I am improving my English every day. Speaking English feels natural to me. I understand more than I did yesterday. You're not just reading, you're reprogramming. This gentle start gives your brain a mental anchor that carries through the rest of your day. Afternoon. Reinforce and refresh. At some point during lunch or your afternoon break, revisit what you heard in the morning. Listen again, read again, or jot down a few key phrases. It may feel repetitive, but repetition is your greatest ally. It tells your brain, this is important. Keep this. You don't need full concentration. You could do this while walking, eating, or commuting. Even casual review strengthens the neural connections that form real memory. Every small exposure adds a layer of fluency. Evening. Activate your voice. As the day winds down, it's time to move from listening to speaking. This doesn't have to be formal practice. It can be fun and natural. Choose a short English podcast, YouTube video, or dialogue, and shadow it. That means you repeat the words as you hear them, matching rhythm, tone, and emotion. Don't worry about mistakes. Don't worry about accent. The goal here isn't perfection, it's familiarity. You're teaching your mouth and tongue to move with English sounds until they no longer feel foreign. You'll notice that each time you do this, your speech flows a little more easily, your pronunciation feels lighter, and your confidence grows. Night. The power of replay. This is where your subconscious takes over. As you get ready for bed, return to the same audio you used earlier. Those affirmations, that story, or that gentle lesson. Play it softly in the background while you drift to sleep. Set a timer for about an hour so it fades out naturally. You don't need to focus. In fact, the less effort, the better. Your calm, resting mind will do the work for you, reactivating and reinforcing the sounds, meanings, and patterns you've heard throughout the day. This is the moment when nighttime learning meets daytime practice. When everything you've done begins to settle into long-term memory. Over time, the transformation. Follow this rhythm daily, and you'll begin to feel the difference. At first, the changes will be small. Maybe a word that comes to mind faster, or a phrase that sounds more natural. But week by week, you'll notice more. You'll understand conversations more easily, speak with smoother flow, and recall phrases without searching for them. English will stop feeling like something you study and start feeling like something you live. This is how natural fluency grows, not through pressure, but through rhythm. Remember, it's not about working harder, it's about working smarter high. You don't need to push your brain, you just need to guide it. Let your days build knowledge, and let your nights polish it. Learn actively when you're awake, learn gently when you sleep, and let your progress become effortless, steady, and deeply rewarding. Chapter 7. Common mistakes in sleep learning. Many learners misunderstand how sleep learning truly works. They imagine that by playing difficult material all night, advanced lectures, complex grammar lessons, or unfamiliar vocabulary, they'll wake up fluent, as if their brain could magically absorb everything without effort. But that's not how it works. Your sleeping mind is powerful, but it's not a machine that decodes new information on command. It doesn't create knowledge out of nothing. It strengthens what it already knows. To learn effectively during sleep, your brain needs recognition, not confusion. It must hear sounds, words, and patterns that it already understands on some level. When you expose your mind to familiar content, it can reactivate those neural pathways and reinforce them. But if the content is too difficult, too unfamiliar, or emotionally overwhelming, your brain tunes it out. It simply doesn't connect. Another common mistake is using loud, fast, or emotionally intense material. Many people fall asleep to high-energy music, noisy podcasts, or fast-speaking videos, hoping that the more stimulation, the better. In reality, it has the opposite effect. Sleep learning thrives in calmness. When your mind is relaxed, it processes sound more gently and deeply. If your audio is loud, demanding, or emotionally charged, it can disturb your sleep cycles. And when sleep is disrupted, memory consolidation weakens. That's why your nighttime environment matters so much. Choose soft, peaceful sounds. Use slow, steady voices. Avoid anything that causes stress or excitement. Your brain learns best in peace, not in pressure. A soothing English story, gentle affirmations, or calm conversation at low volume can be incredibly effective because they let your subconscious stay open while your body rests. The third mistake is constantly changing your content. Many learners jump from one topic to another every night, thinking variety equals progress. But your brain doesn't learn through variety. It learns through repetition. Familiarity is the secret ingredient that transforms short-term exposure into long-term understanding. When you listen to the same story or lesson for 3 to 5 nights in a row, your brain begins to recognize and replay the patterns automatically. Only after that repetition should you switch to something new. In other words, don't rush the process. Let the lesson sink in. And finally, the biggest misunderstanding of all, expecting results without effort. Sleep learning is not a shortcut, and it will never replace active study. You still need to speak, listen, and write during the day. You still need to make mistakes, correct them, and practice consciously. The real magic of sleep learning is how it supports that effort. It's not your teacher, it's your assistant. Think of it this way. Daytime is when you build the structure of knowledge. Nighttime is when you reinforce it. Your active learning lays the bricks, and your sleep learning strengthens the foundation. Over time, the two work together seamlessly, your days providing input, your nights providing consolidation. That's the real secret to success. Not working harder, not staying awake longer, but working in harmony with how your brain naturally learns. Study by day, rest by night, and let each hour, awake or asleep, bring you one step closer to effortless English fluency. Chapter 8. How it improves. Speaking and confidence. When you listen to English in your sleep, something quiet but powerful begins to unfold. The language that once felt distant or intimidating starts to feel familiar. The sounds that once seemed strange begin to flow naturally into your dreams. You stop fearing English, not because you suddenly understand every word, but because your mind begins to recognize its rhythm. The tone, the melody, the movement of the language become safe, gentle, and comforting. And that sense of comfort is the foundation of confidence. True confidence doesn't come from mastering every grammar rule or memorizing every phrase. It comes from familiarity. When English no longer feels foreign, when its rhythm feels natural in your ears, you begin to relax. You stop forcing yourself to think so hard about every sentence. You stop questioning whether your accent sounds right. Instead, you start to flow with the language. The more you hear English while you sleep, the more your brain adjusts to its natural patterns. Over time, the phrases stop sounding like a collection of separate words and start to blend together into meaning. You begin to think in English, not translate from your native language. You respond faster in conversations because your mind and mouth are finally in sync. After a few weeks of consistent sleep learning, something shifts. Your speech becomes smoother. You start noticing words and phrases you don't remember studying, yet they feel familiar, as if they've always been there. You catch yourself understanding expressions effortlessly without analyzing them. Your confidence grows, not from conscious effort, but from exposure, comfort, and rhythm. This is what real fluency feels like. It's not about speaking perfectly, it's about feeling natural. It's the ability to express yourself without hesitation, to let your ideas move through English freely. Fluency is a rhythm of thought, of sound, of emotion, and your sleep is the quiet rehearsal hall where that rhythm is born and refined. Each night, as you rest, your brain listens, remembers, and rewires itself to understand and reproduce the language. Your dreams become your practice space. Your mind becomes your teacher. You don't even have to try. Just allow yourself to listen, relax, and trust the process. If you want to make this transformation real, if you want to train your English rhythm every single day, subscribe to English Channel today. You'll find guided lessons designed for both day and night learning, calming English stories that teach through emotion, and science-backed techniques to help you absorb English naturally, without stress or struggle. Learn the rhythm. Feel the flow. Let English become part of your life, awake and asleep. Chapter 9. Your mind as a garden. When you listen to English in your sleep, something quiet but extraordinary begins to unfold. The language that once felt foreign starts to feel like a familiar song. The fear, the hesitation, the worry about making mistakes, all of it begins to fade. You start to feel the language rather than forcing yourself to analyze it. The sounds, tones, and rhythms of English begin to live in your subconscious, not as lessons or exercises, but as something natural, something you. You see, confidence in language doesn't come from knowing every rule or memorizing endless lists. It comes from comfort. It comes from hearing English so often, in such a calm and natural way, that it stops feeling like a test and starts feeling like home. When your brain is exposed to English rhythm repeatedly, especially during sleep, it begins to internalize that rhythm. Words stop being strangers. Phrases begin to feel like thoughts. You start to think in English, not translate word by word. After a few weeks of consistent sleep learning, this change becomes noticeable. You begin to speak more fluidly. Your sentences come together without hesitation. You no longer pause to build your ideas in your native language first. Instead, the words flow directly from thought to speech. You find yourself understanding people faster, responding more naturally, and expressing yourself with greater ease. It's as if your mind and your mouth have finally learned to move in harmony. And that harmony, that effortless rhythm, is what true fluency really is. Fluency is not about perfection. It's about flow. It's about the dance between thought and sound, between emotion and expression. The more your brain hears English in a relaxed state, the more naturally it begins to reproduce that flow. That's why listening in your sleep is so powerful. It allows your brain to practice in silence, without pressure, without self-judgment. Picture your mind as a peaceful garden. Each English word you learn during the day is a seed. You plant it through study, reading, or conversation. But when night falls and you drift into sleep, your brain begins to water that seed. In the dark, silent hours, those fragile pieces of memory take root. Neural pathways strengthen, connections grow. What was once just a word becomes part of your language landscape. Some seeds sprout quickly. Those are the words and expressions that excite you, the ones you use often or find emotionally meaningful. Others take longer. Some may rest beneath the surface for weeks before they emerge. But with every night of gentle repetition, with every peaceful session of listening, your mental garden grows richer. Slowly, quietly, it fills with color. Sentences become flowers, blooming with meaning, Conversations become trees, strong and deeply rooted. And your confidence becomes the sunlight that helps it all thrive. Every night you listen, you nurture that garden. Every morning you wake, it's a little greener, a little stronger. You might not notice the change day by day, but it's happening all the same. Learning doesn't always announce itself with fanfare. It grows in silence. That's why your environment matters so much. Your surroundings, your mood, your emotional connection to what you hear, all of it shapes how your brain receives language. If your mind feels stressed or distracted, learning slows down. But when you create calm, your brain opens like fertile soil. That's when growth happens effortlessly. So, treat your nightly learning like caring for a living thing. Be gentle with it. Choose your materials wisely. Pick English content that feels peaceful and encouraging. Stories that make you feel something. Voices that soothe you. Lessons that feel like a soft conversation rather than a lecture. Avoid harsh, fast, or overly complicated material. Sleep learning thrives on calmness and repetition, not chaos. Gentle repetition is the sunlight. Each time you hear the same words, your brain reinforces the pathways that hold them. Emotional connection is the water. It nourishes your curiosity and keeps your motivation alive. And peace is the soil. It gives your mind the safety it needs to grow freely. When these three come together, learning stops feeling like work. It becomes something natural, organic, and deeply satisfying. Over time, this approach reshapes your relationship with English. You stop fighting it. You stop doubting yourself. The anxiety that once held you back dissolves, replaced by a quiet sense of belonging. English becomes part of your inner world, a language you not only understand, but feel. When you wake up after a night of listening, you may not notice dramatic changes immediately. But day after day, those small moments accumulate. Your ears become sharper. Your memory becomes stronger. Your confidence grows without effort. And before long, you find yourself responding with ease, understanding without struggle, and thinking naturally in English. That's the beauty of this process. It's not forced. It's nurtured. Like a garden, your progress blooms through care, consistency, and time. If you want to continue this journey, if you want to make English part of your day and night, subscribe to English Channel today. Here, you'll find guided lessons, calm English stories, soothing affirmations, and science-backed techniques designed to help you master English naturally. Whether you're awake, studying, or asleep, you'll be surrounded by a language environment that grows with you. Your fluency doesn't have to be a struggle. It can be a rhythm, a living, breathing garden of words. Let English grow quietly in your mind, one night at a time. Nurture it, and soon you'll wake up to a world where English feels not just understood, but alive within you. Chapter 10. A peaceful closing tonight. As you lie down and feel the day begin to fade, remember this. Learning doesn't end when your eyes close. Your mind never truly rests. Beneath the calm surface of sleep, it's still alive, still listening, still weaving together everything you've learned. The English words and phrases that drift through your dreams are not just sounds, they are signals. Gentle reminders that your brain continues its quiet work long after the world has gone silent. Every night is a new chance to grow, stronger, calmer, and more fluent. Sleep is not the pause in your learning journey. It's the continuation of it. It's the moment when all the effort you've made during the day settles into something deeper, more lasting. The repetition you've practiced, the stories you've listened to, the phrases you've repeated, they all take root as you rest. Sleep becomes your silent classroom, your most peaceful teacher. So tonight, give yourself permission to let go. You've done enough. You've studied, listened, and practiced. Now it's time to trust the process. Choose your story or your favorite English lesson, something gentle, familiar, and calm. Let the voice play softly in the background. No pressure, no effort, just sound and rhythm flowing into your dreams. The words will reach your subconscious in their own quiet way, strengthening connections you built while awake. As the audio plays, you might notice how the English language begins to feel different, less like a subject to master, and more like music to experience. The sounds that once seemed complex will begin to feel natural. The words will no longer intimidate you. Your mind will start recognizing patterns instinctively, as if your brain already knows what's coming next. That's because it does. It's rehearsing. It's reinforcing. It's building fluency in silence. Imagine this. Every phrase you hear tonight is like a drop of water nourishing the roots of your learning. Each repetition deepens your understanding. Each familiar sentence strengthens your memory. And when morning comes, you'll feel just a little lighter, your speech a little smoother, your thoughts a little clearer, your confidence a little stronger. You might not notice the change right away, but over time, those quiet nights will add up. This is the beauty of sleep learning. It doesn't demand anything from you. It doesn't require extra hours of study or strict discipline. It works in the background, gently, naturally, effectively. It complements everything you do while awake. Your daytime practice plants the seeds of knowledge. Your nighttime listening helps them grow. Together, they form a cycle of effortless improvement, a rhythm of progress that flows through every part of your day and night. So tonight, as you close your eyes, let go of perfection. You don't need to speak flawlessly. You don't need to understand every word. Just listen. Allow the language to surround you like soft waves. Trust that your mind is listening even when you're not aware of it. You're not just sleeping. You're evolving. And when you wake up, know that you've moved one step closer to fluency. Maybe it's subtle, a phrase that comes to mind more quickly, a word that feels familiar, a thought that forms in English without translation. These are signs of growth, quiet, steady progress that builds from the inside out. If this episode inspired you, if it made you feel that learning English can be peaceful, natural, and deeply personal, then subscribe to English Channel. Share it with someone who dreams of speaking English fluently, someone who wants to grow without stress, without fear, and without rushing. Together, we'll keep learning, day by day, night by night, turning every moment of rest into a moment of growth. So, as you drift into sleep tonight, breathe deeply, feel calm. Feel proud of the progress you've made, no matter how small. The journey to fluency isn't a race. It's a rhythm, a balance between effort and ease, between waking and dreaming. Good night, my friend. Sleep peacefully, dream in English, and wake up a little more fluent than you were yesterday. Your mind is learning, your heart is growing, and your future self is already thanking you.